Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy StumpD back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we're hopping into the Clash Buggy's delivery with 3 teams. This is the first team, free play subs. That was the team, those are the supports. Let's dive in. Now, as I mentioned, in today's video, I do have 3 teams for you guys to take on this particular Clash, and honestly, this particular Clash, it's not exactly that tricky. It's not exactly that hard, and it's actually pretty easy to get through. So, I do have 2 non-stall teams for you guys, but the first team I do have utilizes free-to-play subs, free-to-play supports, led by the Pirate King himself, Goldie Roger. Now, most of you guys should have Roger. If you guys did some summons on Yamato Part 4, you might have picked him up, or you might have picked him up throughout the year. He has popped up quite a bit for a Super Sugo character, and he works really, really well with the new Straw Hat Legend. Now, this particular Clash is designed for the Straw Hat Legend, so I thought, let's put together a team that utilizes free-to-play subs. Let's showcase the power that the Straw Hats actually have, and actually let's get this done. So we have some pretty good free-to-play characters for the Free Spirit class. We do have Nami and Sanji, we have the Kappa, the Arena Kappa, we have the Sea Monster, who did get his upgrade, as well as Kinemon. Now Kinemon's here just to make things a bit quicker, as if you guys saw my Japan version of this particular content, stalling can be a little bit tricky on this particular fight, as the enemies just have they're just very, very easy to kill. Once we hit stage 3 though, we come up against Buggy himself. He has a 2 perfect hit barrier, so this is why using the Oro Jackson is really, really nice. And even if you are like a spoon like myself, you'll probably kill here on the first turn, but you do get removed sound effects. Because you get removed sound effects, it's actually harder to hit those perfects, and on the second turn, Buggy's actually going to give us 3 turns of paralysis and 3 turns of attack down. But this is why I've actually brought Kappa on this team, just in case I actually stuff this stage up. Funny enough, I did stuff it up, so that was actually pretty hilarious. But we can use the Kappa special here. We get an attack boost on this particular stage, and then we can remove the paralysis and remove the attack down. If you're pretty confident with your perfects, you can easily just drop that special on the first turn. That way you actually just get the attack buff, and you should just kill Buggy, as hitting perfects is pretty easy with the Oro Jackson. Once Buggy dies though, he does run away, but if you stall like a turn here anyway, you are going to remove the remove sound effects anyway, which is quite nice for when you hit the next couple stages. Once we hit the next stage, we come up against Alvida and Mr. 3. They put up 5 turns of Threshold, Defense Up, and they give us 4 turns of Special Bind. This is where Nami and Sanji is very, very good. Nami and Sanji would give you an orb boost as well, but we do have the orb boost from Kappa. But the main reason we have them here is to remove the special bind. Their switchability is really nice too, to give us matching orbs if we get unfavorable slots. That was actually another reason why I brought them as well. On this turn, we're going to remove the defensive effects with the Sea Monster special. That way we can just get around that, and we can actually give ourselves a orb boost carryover effect for the next turn, provided we actually kill this stage in 1 turn. Now, unfortunately, I was just shy of the damage here. Was a little bit of a shame. I thought I would have the damage actually quite easily, but unfortunately, we actually didn't. So, we did use the super tapping of the Straw Hats there. That way, we can just get a bit more damage with our side characters, but nevertheless, we didn't have the damage, so it didn't really matter. Ideally, just take out Alvida, because Mr. 3, all he does is special bind your middle characters, and if you do have the same setup as me, it's not going to matter, as we don't actually need their specials anymore, as Kinemon just basically was there to give us some more matching orbs, and he's basically done for the rest of this run. Moving on to the final stage, we do come up against Mr. Buggy D Clown and 2 of his lackeys. I think it's Kabaji and I can't remember the lion guy's name. But they basically run in, they get summoned by Buggy, and Buggy can do a bunch of different things. He always puts up defensive effects, like defense up and damage reduction, and then he can give you 1 of 3 effects. He gives you the 4-turn perfect hit, so you can only hit with 4 characters. He may give you blinding healing, which is the ideal one, or he can give you 5 turns of attack down. For this particular team, it's very easy because we are using the Straw Hat Pirates. They not only remove the defensive effects, remove 1 of the chosen effects, which you could basically choose, whether you want the recovery down, the attack down, or the tap blinding. And they remove the block orbs. When Buggy dies, he does a 27,000 death hit, but because we get the damage reduction from the Straw Hats, they basically just take care of this whole stage. Thanks to Roger too, you can just blow away the 2 units in the back, and it actually works really, really nicely. This team has no issues. It does it fairly well, so if you are looking for a free-to-play team, and you do have Roger, you can get this done very, very easily. Let's move on to the no-stall teams now. Alright, so the first no-stall team is actually led by Double King. So that's the team, and those are the supports. Let's dive in. Now you guys might be thinking, Stump, when did you pull King? Well, I did jump back in on the what's her name? The Toki banner. I did do 2 more multis on the Toki banner, and I actually picked up King along the way. I didn't get Toki, unfortunately, but I did pick up King, and when we were sort of like rolling through some ideas on how to no stall this particular piece of content. King is always a character that you need to think of. King and Queen especially, because they have their auto trigger and they actually give cooldowns. You can just basically get like 6 turns of free cooldown, and they also have access to a character like the free-to-play Big Mom and Kaido. With this particular team, the chopper support is definitely not essential at all. You can easily replace that. And honestly, I don't even think the Mr. 3 support's as essential as it actually seems if you do have a Limit Break expanded friends. But if you don't, I would highly recommend using the Mr. 3 support on King, so that way you just have enough cooldowns to actually get his special ready to go by the final stage. As you guys saw there, I actually switched with Big Mom Kaido on turn 2. That way we get the auto trigger of the 2 King specials on the, what's it called turn? The third turn against Buggy. That way we basically just give ourselves a free orb boost, and we can actually take out Buggy. Now, Buggy can be different colors, so make sure you time your switch of Big Mom Kaido depending on what color he is. You will get a 2x attack boost with their switch ability as well, which is really, really nice, because then you can actually get the auto trigger of King once again. What I'm basically saying is like, no matter what, just switch with Big Mom Kaido. That way you can get the auto trigger of their special on this particular stage against Alvida and Mr. 3. Against Alvida and Mr. 3, they are going to put up their defensive effects. They put up Threshold for 4 turns and Defense Up, as well as give us 3 turns of Special Bind. With the support of Garp on our Aokiji, it works really nicely here, because not only do we remove the Special Bind, but with the Aokiji special, we can remove the defensive effects as well, and it actually just works so damn beautifully. Finally, we're going to wrap it up with the super typing of King. That way we can start building up the Verse Akainu Verse ability. And as you guys saw on the previous turn as well, we did actually use the other King super type. So that way we can just guarantee ourselves that Verse ability that Akainu has access to. So that way we can actually just decimate the final stage. Once we do take out Mr. 3 and Alvida, they do run away. As it's like you're basically just like fighting all the Buggy pirates on the final stage. Like, that's sort of the idea of it. Once we do hit the final stage against Buggy, as I mentioned, he can do one of 3 different things. He always gives us block orbs. He always puts up defense up. He always puts up damage reduction, and he always summons Carpagee and the Lion Guy that have barriers in the back, which is a little bit annoying. But on this particular team, the most annoying one is this tap timing. This, like, you can only hit with 4 units. It's easily the most annoying. But funny enough, it's the one that like pops up the most. To get around the defense up and the damage reduction, we do have Bobbins on this particular team. Bobbins is great because if you actually get the attack down variant as well, Bobbins can remove that. So Bobbins is just an absolute weapon for this final stage. We do have our block orb manipulation and a chain lock thanks to Akainu. We have a conditional boost thanks to Akainu. We can use the Bobbins special to remove the defensive effects and the attack down if we need to. And then you have access to the Big Mom Kaido special, but like you don't actually need it. Ideally, you want to make sure that you actually kill one of the units in the back. Ideally, just hit Carpagee with Akainu. Akainu does so much damage. Like, you could probably hit with, what's his name? Kuzan. And that's going to do enough damage. But as long as you can kill one of the units in the back and Buggy in the front, you should have just enough tankiness to survive the death hit and a special from the Lion Guy, and just let Akainu's burn just take him out in the back. So that was the double King team. King's actually a lot of fun. Running the double Kings variant or running King and Queen together, they're just a lot of fun when you can use these 2 characters together. But because we did have like 2 quick characters on this team, running double King is the way to go. So that was the King no stall team. Let's move on to the final no stall team now. Alright, so the final team of the video uses double Yamato 6+. So this is the team. Those are the supports. Let's dive in. Now, something to note about Yamato 6+ that a lot of people don't actually talk about, and honestly myself included, is Yamato 6+ gives 1 turn of cooldown to the crew. That's actually very, very important when we are doing these speed runs, and actually does help out a lot. Namely because that way we actually get the cooldown of Kinemon on the very first turn. That way we can get another 2 turns of cooldown, and when we are trying to do these like no stall or speed runs, it actually helps out significantly. Now, shout out to my boy Sim. There is another variant of this team that you can run if you are missing a couple of characters. As you guys saw on the previous team, you can use the Kuzan with the Garb support. You can easily replace Usohachi with that Kuzan if you do have the Garb support. And if you are missing a Sabo, you can actually use Roger. Roger's great because Roger can blow away the units in the back, and that like you saw in the very first team. And he just works really, really nicely. So if you are missing a Sabo, you can use Roger. And if you do have the Kuzan with the Garb support, you can use him over Usohachi. But I wanted to try and change this team a little bit from what... Well, this was actually the first no-stall team we actually put together. And my boy Sim sort of came up with his team because he's missing a Sabo. So shout out to him for the team if you guys are missing that. But once you do come up against Buggy, Buggy has that perfect barrier. Remember, a Sabo and Usohachi both have barrier pen, which actually works really nicely, which means we can do a lot of damage here. and you can get color affinity thanks to a Sabo. We did have the support of Mr. 3 on Kinemon. That is fairly important. So that way we can pop another special, and that way we can then guarantee all of our specials ready to go by this particular stage against Alvida and Mr. 3. They put up 5 turns of Threshold, or 4 turns I should say, of Threshold, as well as Defense Up. With Bobbins on the team and Usohachi, we can actually remove 2 turns of the Special Blind, which brings it down to 3. Bobbins is just an absolute god for this content. Honestly, Bobbins is easily god tier for this fight. Bobbins actually reduces the special blind by 1 turn and actually allows you to have access to that Garb support. Without him, it doesn't function the way it functions. He's just a god for the final stage if you don't have the Strawhats as well. We're going to use a Yamato special here. We can use a Yamato super typing. We have a Sabo with a Luffy support. That way we can actually get access to 3 turns of an orb boost and carry it into the final stage against Buggy. It works really, really nicely. You need to make sure you have a Luffy support on a Sabo though. Otherwise, you won't get 3 turns of the orb boost, and it's fairly important that you do that. Otherwise, you may just be short of the damage on this final stage against Buggy. Now, against Buggy, he's going to do one of 3 things, as I keep rambling on about. He does turn into a random color, he does summon his 2 lackeys, and then he gives you a full board of block orbs, 5 turns of damage reduction, 5 turns of defense up. Again, I got the 4-turn tap, but he could give you 5 turns of attack down, or he can give you the recovery blind. The recovery blind is by far the easiest to get around, because you just don't need to worry about it. But Bobbins, he's going to remove all those nasty effects. We do have the support of Vivi on this team as well. It's not overly essential, but it definitely does help with a little bit of color affinity. With Barrier Pen on Sabo and with Barrier Pen on Usohachi, focus on the 2 at the back and then target Buggy in the front. And just basically hit with whatever character has color affinity. And you guys should kill with those 2 characters, even on the 4 tap limit. So that's going to wrap the video up, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to go down there and belt that like button for me if you're new to the channel. Hit the big red subscribe button too. But guys, whatever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.